There are growing calls for a royal commission to investigate the scandal at the Commonwealth Bank that cost investors millions. A Senate investigation found fraud and cover-up at the bank as dodgy financial planners gave reckless advice to customers in return for commissions. Later this week, the bank is expected to respond to the report. It's tipped the bank will announce a multi-million-dollar compensation fund for victims, in part to try to head off litigation by hundreds of clients who've lost their life savings. Shortly, we'll hear the government's response. But first, political correspondent Sabra Lane reports.
The conduct of a number of rogue advisors was unethical, dishonest, well below professional standards and a grievous breach of their duties.
Some of the evidence I've seen, clearly forgery and fraud were involved.
As Senate reports go, the inquiry into the performance of the corporate watchdog ASIC was blistering and damning. It delved into the performance of the Australian Securities and Investments Commission in investigating the Commonwealth Bank's financial planning business. Thousands of Australians lost their life savings due to dodgy advice by financial planners at the nation's biggest bank. The report made 61 recommendations, including a royal commission into the bank, a call the government so far resisted.
I've said for 4 or 5 years now we should have a royal commission into white-collar crime. I believe it is systemic.
Marilyn Swan's parents, Merv and Robin Blanche, went from being self-funded retirees for 21 years to Social Security by 2009. They lost around $170,000 due to shoddy advice from their CommBank financial advisor, Don Nguyen.
At the moment, the only thing that's open and transparent from the bank is their glass front doors.
The bank first offered $6,000 in compensation, later revised to $95,000. Marilyn Swan has no background in law or finance but became a super sleuth, tracking paperwork for her parents discovering fraud. After a protracted battle, her parents settled with the bank in 2010.
The Royal Commission is the only way to actually compel evidence from those who are directly involved, from the financial planners through to the management, to give evidence to actually show what happened and also to reflect on the lack of professional integrity of ASIC to actually do the job it's been employed to do.
Jeff Morris was a bank financial planner and became a whistleblower against a rogue colleague. He says ASIC was too slow to respond and he's disappointed the committee didn't recommend a royal commission into it.
The Senate inquiry itself was actually into ASIC, and Commonwealth Financial Planning was just a case study as part of that inquiry, and the focus seems to have shifted to CBA, and ASIC almost seems now to have merged into the background.
The Senate report found staff at Commonwealth Financial Planning Limited, CFPL, a part of Commonwealth Bank, deliberately neglected their duties and placed their personal interests far above the interests of their clients. That the bank deliberately played down the seriousness and extent of problems in an attempt to avoid ASIC scrutiny, contain adverse publicity and minimise compensation payments. On the corporate watchdog ASIC, the committee says it should be stripped from overseeing the remediation process with clients. That ASIC is consistently described as being slow to act or as a watchdog with no teeth is troubling. The bank's already paid out $51 million in compensation. Committee members want it lifted to $250 million. The bank's expected to respond on Thursday, but says it's undergone major change. The Treasurer's not convinced. His mother-in-law is a victim.
Personally, I think the bank's got to lift its game. I think the Commonwealth Bank has handled this appallingly from day one.
A Royal Commission is a preferable course to take, but the urgent action that needs to be done now is for the Commonwealth Bank to offer to compensate the victims of the bank as a matter of urgency.
I'm not sure what will avoid a class action. I think it would remain to be seen what they put forward. What we've seen so far is a regime that has been manifestly inadequate.
Mr Ivansoff is investigating a potential class action by up to 3,000 investors who lost their savings after taking advice from planner Rollo Sheriff. He worked with Cairns-based group Meridian Finance, an authorised representative of Financial Wisdom, a firm that was owned by the Commonwealth Bank. Sheriff was banned from advising in 2010. He convinced many investors, some close to retirement, to put their life savings into high-risk products. Some mortgaged their homes and lost everything. ASIC hasn't pursued Sheriff over the allegations because it says he's no longer working in the industry. Neither the bank nor ASIC were transparent initially about this case at the Senate inquiry.
I've asked ASIC to look into the Rolo Sheriff case again and financial wisdom. I hope they do, but I'm not overconfident of that now, given the answer I got from ASIC at Senate estimates where they said, look, he's left the industry, don't worry about him. I think that's unacceptable.
The Senate inquiries urged ASIC to put another firm, Macquarie Private Wealth, under intensive surveillance. The company entered into what's known as enforceable undertakings with ASIC in January last year. Enforceable undertakings can be used as an alternative to court action. It's not a very transparent process, and the end result of this won't be known until early next year. There is little known publicly about the case. It involves a significant number of clients, a significant number of advisors, and serious deficiencies. 7:30 asked ASIC how many clients were involved, as well as the quantum of money. It's declined to comment. This is what its deputy chairman said last week.
There's a substantial amount of work going on in the implementation of that enforceable undertaking. It includes reviewing the activities of a wide range of planners and advisors within that firm. It involves developing a remediation process for clients.
I believe Macquarie Bank, their arm, Macquarie Private Wealth, has a lot of questions to answer.
ASIC says the entire industry needs to lift its game. The government says the current inquiry into the financial services sector, headed by former Commonwealth Chief David Murray, should examine the Senate's findings. He's due to deliver an interim report soon.
David Murray is an eminent Australian with a very strong record in financial services in this country. But the fact is, he was head of the Commonwealth Bank for a number of years, and I think it puts him in an invidious and very difficult position when it comes to judging his former employer.
On the report's call for a royal commission, it wasn't unanimous. Liberal Senator David Bushby disagreed. Finance Minister Cormann says that's a contribution worth noting, to the ire of those involved.
Senator Bushby did not even attend the hearing on the 10th of April when the whistleblower and the victims gave their evidence. Senator Bushby does not speak for me, and he does not speak for my parents, and he does not certainly speak for the other victims, and he certainly does not speak for the whistleblower.